Alright, so in the red one, The Rock is a giant muscle-bound elf who's head of security at the North Pole, but obviously not that great at his job if Santa Claus just got kidnapped. So for the first Christmas movie of the season, I was kind of hoping for a big wow factor, and this one was okay. It wasn't horrible. Definitely didn't blow me out of the water though. Big cast. The Rock, Chris Evans, J.K. Simmons, and even Lucy Liu. But something about it just didn't scream Christmas. Now, I will say there are some fun aspects to this movie, like The Rock's powers. No, I'm not talking about the fact that he can shrink down like Ant-Man and blow back up and do all that stuff. Nah, I think that was a little corny. But I do like the bracelet he wears, or wristlet, or whatever the heck that thing is on his arm. And he zaps toys and it enlarges them to real life functioning objects. He does the same thing with the Rock'em Sock'em robots, which I thought that was a fun scene. You'll notice in the trailer there was a Krampus scene, and in there, I don't want to spoil too much, but we used some Rock'em Sock'em robots, and that was a lot of fun. I think that was really cool. And the best part about that was Chris Evans' humor when he wanted to get a Wonder Woman action figure. I can't blame him on that one. I will say the reindeer though, nobody's talking about the reindeer. I like these reindeer. They're big, they're huge. They got these giant antlers that glow with magic, and I just thought the reindeers could have used more screen time in a bigger role. They did a great job with that. Now, granted, you can still tell the CGI issues, but the characters themselves, like those reindeer, were really well done, and I think that if you'd have worked that in a little more, we could have had a little bit of better time with this movie. Now, yeah, okay, we got giant snowmen, we got Santa Claus, we got elves and reindeer, and even a giant 10-foot polar bear. But it was a very dark lit movie. I expected more color, a little bit more brightness, and we got some of that. You know, there was the beach scene where we got the snowman fight, and that was okay. Everything else was very dim. It is what it is, though. Chris Evans' character, I want to start with him. I know most people want to start with The Rock. I'm starting with Chris Evans. I love him in this movie. I think he's great. He's funny. He's very self-aware of who he is, because he is a level 4 naughty lister. That's right. Yes, there is a naughty list, and Chris Evans is on it. He's a bounty hunter slash hacker slash... He's just a bad guy. And he plays into that character. He's also a father who's very self-conscious about the fact that he's a horrible dad. And he goes through this journey and transformation throughout this movie that I think is great. I like it. The Rock, on the other hand, he plays the same character he's always played. It seems like the character from Jumanji, which makes sense because the director of this movie, Jake Kasdan, is the same director from Jumanji: The Next Level. So I very much see that in this movie. Also, we have the same writer as the majority of the Fast and Furious movies. So this very much feels like a collaboration of those two movies, Jumanji and Fast and Furious. The action scenes, I definitely see Fast and Furious. Everything else, I'm just seeing Jumanji. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. It just feels like something I've seen before, though. So that part kind of was disappointing. Now, I will say, J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus, I can get behind that. Now, it's a little different, and I mean different as in he's not fat. He's jacked, but I think it's kind of a cool concept. I like his personality as Santa Claus. He was the most convincing in his character. I enjoyed him. I wouldn't mind seeing him in more Santa Claus movies. Now, as far as this budget goes, $250 million. The CGI could have been better. I think we could have worked on a few things here and there. This is definitely a kid's movie trying to be a family movie and only moderately succeeding. Now, I will say this, for a big theatrical release with such a big budget, it just didn't come across that way. I don't see where they spent all that money. This probably should have been better off released on Netflix or Disney Plus. might have got better reviews. Definitely shouldn't have released that budget. But overall, again, it wasn't a bad movie. But I will say this, it was about 20 minutes too long. This is a 2-hour movie, and you could have cut a lot of fluff and junk out of this thing and had probably a more successful time with it. But, you know, first one out of the box. Let's not get too crazy, but I will say all that budget went to the casting because the movie was okay at best. It's one that I will most likely completely forget about in about a week. All the other movies are coming out. I'm going to forget this movie ever existed. Come next year, it's definitely not going to be on my watch list. I'm kind of hoping for more here, but it is what it is. But if you saw the red one, let us know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe button on your way out. And I'll see you at the concession stands.